Today on the show, an NFL franchise inches closer to an LA relocation.
And UFC light heavyweight champion John Bones Jones tests positive for a little bone dust.
Plus, after some questionable officiating, some are saying the Cowboys game was rigged. All burst Bo's bubble, plus the NFL divisional playoff round, and even some Bigfoot talk. It's all coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey, what's happening, everybody? Welcome. It's episode 36 of the Sean and Bo Show. I'm Sean O'Donnell, joined as always by Bo Greer, my co-host. And Bo, before we get the show cranked up here, we got to give some tribute, pay some respect to the late, great Stuart Scott, who I'm sure if you pay anything attention to sports, you've seen the tributes and such on ESPN. He was sort of a pioneer. He had a very strong, independent voice. Nobody sounded like him on the air, and certainly a very important figure in the world of sports broadcasting.
Yeah, all week I've just been hearing tons of people from the President of the United States to LeBron James, Michael Jordan, giving their respects and, trying to remember a man that did something that, a lot of people just want to point out that he bridged the gap for African Americans watching sports and in broadcasting. And I say he did more than that because people forget at that time, Sean and I, we were youth, middle school, high school. We were at that age where we were very impressionable and we were watching TV. MTV was very popular at that time. Music videos were new. He was that guy that allowed all of us to sit down and watch ESPN because up to that date, sorry, Dan Patrick, we love you now that we're older, but when we were kids, you really weren't speaking to us. You were on a few of those jock jams, which were cool. I remember DP's voice, but when Stuart Scott got on the air, he was saying things that you're like, hey, this guy's all right.
No, that's a good point. Before Stuart Scott, I think your average SportsCenter anchor sounded an awful lot like your typical local news anchor, very little personality, very little flair.
Yeah. So
Stuart Scott definitely changed the game as far as that's concerned, and he'll definitely be missed. Certainly way too young to die. But, he made a big impact. Of course, that very inspirational speech that he made at the ESPYs.
And ESPN's going to go through a very, I think, a difficult time here because if you look at the personalities, Linda Cohn, obviously they've lost DP. Eisen's out doing his thing with the NFL Network. But the originals are still carrying that network. And they're obviously that's a huge void they're never going to be able to fill. We've seen it happen if you're old enough in this country. You remember when Saturday Night Live was the show to watch on Saturday night? You could literally have a night and sit at home and watch Saturday Night Live. ESPN, good luck, because these guys, they were trendsetters, they're trailblazers, and you lost one, and we're all going to be missing Stuart Scott moving forward.
Absolutely. Well, Bo, there's a big UFC fight over the weekend. I may or may not have lost a little bit of money on Daniel Cormier, John Jones, but now the news broke earlier today that John Jones has entered rehab because he tested positive for cocaine. Well, not exactly, a metabolite of cocaine.
Bone dust.
Yeah, the old bone dust, the old Bolivian marching powder, whatever you want to call it. But I thought that how this went down was awfully interesting. He failed a test on December 4th.
Yeah, that's what I was looking at too. You want to talk about conspiracies with the Cowboys game later on. This conspiracy here is full-blown. Why does it take so long for them to find out? And if they knew about it, did they keep her, hush-hush? We've already sold a lot of tickets, pay-per-view. Everybody's going to watch this fight. We cannot blow this.
Well, the metabolite of cocaine that he tested positive, that I will absolutely not even attempt to pronounce, is apparently not a banned substance. So I guess, if you're a fighter, the real lesson here is do as much cocaine before the fight as is humanly possible.
Wow. Yeah.
It's powerful. It's moving.
It is.
Now, as for their part, the UFC is supporting Jones in this rehab endeavor. Dana White said in a statement, "I'm proud of John Jones for making the decision to enter a drug treatment facility. I'm confident that he'll emerge from this program like the champion he truly is."
Oh, he didn't enjoy saying that. I wouldn't enjoy saying that. This is your champion. This is the guy that you put on the posters when you're talking with Bud Light or you're sitting there, talking with potential broadcast stations like Fox. This isn't good. And I ask you, Sean, which one, weight-wise to you, John Jones doing cocaine before a fight or Budweiser releasing the statement in response to Adrian Peterson in the NFL with Ray Rice? It would seem to me that someone using drugs at this high a level is a bigger issue than what went on with Adrian Peterson and Ray Rice.
Maybe if he wasn't a fighter, but this isn't exactly anything new. Fighters and cocaine have a rich history together. Ask Mike Tyson.
And Johnny Tapia, our local fighter here from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
By the way, if you haven't seen that movie, it's been on
HBO.
Is it HBO or Showtime?
Something like that.
On Tapia, very, very powerful. Really an interesting character in boxing and just as a person. So if you get the chance to watch that, you'll get to also see some of Bo and I's stomping grounds here in Albuquerque. I drive, he's from this park, Wells Park, just north of downtown Albuquerque. I drive by it during work every single day. So if you're interested, it's just really a moving, it just shows you that there's, multiple facets to a person like Johnny Tapia. It's a complex personality, and it was I just found it extremely entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, what kind of individual likes to get their face beat in for their money? I'm sorry. I liked wearing a helmet. I love wearing shoulder pads. It protected my beautiful face. If you ever want to see what it looks like, I'm pretty sure you can find it on the internet somewhere because it is beautiful. But, on to another topic. Sean, as an athlete, as a coach now, it is interesting the point that you bring up. It's almost like in the school, the kids who are getting in trouble, they can't sit still, they're fighting too much, whatever. They bring them to the football coaches. After the football coaches can't handle them, we take them to the wrestling coaches. And it kind of is that level of hierarchy. And I see that with a lot of the fighters. He is not the first fighter to be, using drugs, and he's not certainly going to be the last.
No.
I hope he learns his lesson. I hope that there are young men and women out there looking up to him. You realize he is just a human being. People make mistakes. Judge them on what they do afterwards. He's going to get another chance.
By the way, if you watch that fight, John Jones has some of the skinniest legs I've ever seen on a fighter.
We now know why.
Yeah, maybe now we know why he wasn't putting on too much weight. But, I mean, geez, if you're a fighter and you haven't learned anything from Anderson Silva, those things are not made of steel. They can snap.
Yes. Take care of them. I often think about, was that movie Bloodsport, where Jean-Claude Van Damme would kick the pieces of wood to get his legs stronger? That's what he needs to do. Could you... I'm not a martial arts guy. I have a buddy. He actually fought some UFC and he trained some fighters. I'm going to find out from John, hey, is it possible to train from a karate film like Bloodsport? Could I just watch that film and train myself?
Oh, yeah.
To a
Karate
certain
Kid
level
too, man.
Yeah, there we go.
Crane style.
They do some cool stuff in those movies. I just wonder if the montage effect will work on me. Will I see results earlier?
I don't think it works if you sing the background song in the montage while you're filming it. It needs to be a little bit higher produced than that. But give it a shot. You never know.
Yeah, we'll try it. We'll see. Could be the next P90X.
Just don't join the Cobra Kai, or we're not friends anymore, Bo.
Okay, I see how you roll.
Well, Bo was paying attention to Twitter, as we like to call it.
Paying a twincher.
And he noticed that some teams out there just should probably watch what they post on Twitter a little bit more carefully, Bo.
Yeah, it's one of those things. I like to point out these organizations that are out there on Twitter or Facebook. They're doing things that are not befitting of a championship organization. New England Patriots, LA Lakers, Dallas Cowboys, soon to be again. Your teams that have won multiple championships, they're not out there making a fool of themselves. Yes, Jerry Jones will have the occasional video posted that somebody else put out, but it's not one of his hired goons taking these shots and putting them on Twitter. So my first example here, Sean, the Houston Rockets tweet out a shot of their center. He's a 24-year-old guy. I always mess up his name. I've had him on my fantasy team. It's like Donatus. I can't say his name. It is incredibly difficult.
Come on.
I know.
Come on, give it a shot.
Montejunas. I don't know. You know, you can blow me up on that. But
Close.
hey,
Oh, close, Bo.
he's 24 years old. He's averaging 10.5 points a game, 5.9 rebounds. He's doing okay. But the photo that they took of the guy, Sean, he's squatting 135 pounds. You know, that's warm up.
135 pounds?
Yeah. And he says, he fires back at everybody on Twitter that's giving him a hard time that these are warm up sets. But I don't know. A lot of 7-footers, they're not known for lifting a lot of weights.
Yeah, I saw that we have an athlete here at the University of New Mexico who's, what is he, like 7'2" or something like that?
Huge.
I rode up an elevator with him, and this guy's thighs are like the size of my arms.
Yeah.
You just wonder like how he doesn't break a knee just getting out of bed.
You think all of the big men that we grew up watching that were like the Bill Lambiers of the world are playing football? They're all SEC linemen now.
Yeah, Lambier could have.
Yeah.
Sean Kemp, not so much.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah, and it's like it really has changed the game. These guys aren't as big; they're not as physical. Squatting 135 pounds, I would really hope that that's a warm up. But you know, Twitter, it allows a lot of us to do and just say some pretty idiotic things. Even Peter
sure does.
King,
Follow us at Sean and Bo Show. See
yeah.
all the idiotic things we say.
Oh, we say some dumb ones too. But
every damn day.
This one came from a guy that I wouldn't expect to be saying things that he's not fact checking, and that's Peter King. We all know who Peter King is.
Monday morning quarterback.
Yeah, you see Peter King everywhere. You know his name if you follow football. When Hakeem Nicks caught a pass in the Cincinnati Bengals, Indianapolis Colts playoff game, they were up 26-10, which ended up being the final score. There was 5 minutes to go in the game. He goes out of bounds. Now, if you know anything about Hakeem Nicks this year, he's battled injury.
Yeah.
Him going out of bounds with the win in hand, I'm not too concerned about. But Peter King takes to Twitter. He says, "Good job, Hakeem Nicks. Way to show off your football intelligence, especially before a free agency year." You know, he's coming up on free agency. Little did Peter King know, Sean, the NFL went back and they changed those rules. Inside of 2 minutes, around 5 minutes, it's up to the referees whether they're going to stop the clock. So the clock, in fact, didn't even stop. It continued to run. Hakeem Nicks didn't cost his team any time. Peter King just looked like a jackass after that.
And speaking of professional intelligence in your chosen field, I've heard Peter King drop F-bombs on the Dan Patrick Show live. So it's like, hey, how about paying attention to the business you're in, Peter?
I know, and it's really interesting that these guys are under that microscope all the time, that Hakeem Nicks isn't in a nightclub. He's not in a mall parking lot telling somebody how much money he's worth in a Bugatti. He's not being an idiot. He's just playing football. And for all we know, the guy could have injuries that are so bad that he was told that if you're going to be in the game right now, Hakeem, on these sets, in these plays, these formations, we need you to get out of bounds, get down, don't take any hits. He could have been doing what his coach and the trainer told him to do. Peter King, just be quiet and enjoy the game.
Speaking of Twitter, somebody that has embarrassed themselves in the past on Twitter, Colts owner Jim Irsay. Man, I love the way this guy throws money around. Just before we started the show, Irsay announced on Twitter that he was going to have a series of contests, and he was going to be giving away pairs of tickets to the Broncos-Colts game in Denver, complete with like airfare, hotel, spending cash, everything. You know, I don't know why he does this, but he does it all the damn time. And it was just a stupid question like, name my 2 favorite candy bars. And if you get them right, we'll pick the winner out of a hat out of the correct answers. And somebody got it right. So over the next few days, if you'd like to score yourself that vacation package, just follow Jim Irsay on Twitter because he throws money in the air like a madman.
That's tight. Yeah, well, what do you expect from a guy rolling around with some Oxycontin? You know, what do you have, $20,000 in cash, some poker chips? Just a normal Indiana night. That's what I used to do rolling around the Hoosier State.
Didn't we all?
Yeah, you know, Midwest, you always need to keep at least $10K walking around cash on you.
Well, Bo played Division I college football, as we've mentioned countless times, and Bo doesn't have any eligibility left, but guess who does? Me. And I found where I'm going to be putting my eligibility to work. I, Bo, am bringing my talents to the state of Kentucky, to the University of Pikeville.
There you go.
Because they have announced for the first time that they are going to be offering scholarships to video game players.
Oh, it's finally happened.
How great of a time do we live in?
Kids can finally tell their parents, well, no, I'm not just playing video games. I'm positioning myself for this scholarship. You see, there's a scholarship in Pike.
about my future, Mom?
Pike County, Kentucky. That's where I'm going. Yeah, you know, learn how to make moonshine while you're there too.
The game in question is Dota 2 and League of Legends, both popular MMOs. Somebody at the university said it will be a regime a lot like athletics. They'd have to have a certain GPA. We'll look at them like student athletes. There will be practice time and video time when they have to study other teams for upcoming competitions.
You know, we've already seen it take place with athletics. You know, 50 years from now, we could be tuning in to ESPN3 to watch the National Collegiate Athletic Association's Final Four of Madden 2044, you know, whatever it is. It's coming, people. Get ready, because everything else in our society has become profitable. Video game athletes on TV, front and center, it's going to be here.
Well, did you see when they had one of the championships? I think it was Dota or League of Legends at the Staples Center. They were having and it filled the entire arena.
Yes.
Just to watch somebody play a video game live in person.
It's a new thing. And, you know, I have the Xbox One now, and they have the video where your Kinect broadcast you while you're playing a game. And I think it's the dumbest thing ever, because I'm an old man now. But the youth, they love it. They love the fact that they're playing a game and people are watching them and their reactions and they're talking to each other. I'm just like, I don't get it. I just do not understand that aspect of gaming. I guess it's because I still want to be in my boxer shorts with Dorito dust on my chest. And I just can't allow them to see that. You know?
Nobody wants to see that. No, it's funny how much this industry has changed. I remember like the most cutting edge thing back when we were kids was like a 1-800 number that Nintendo Power Magazine set up so you could get game tips. A 1-800 number, you know, and now we're just watching professional cyber athletes play video games.
Yeah,
in sports arenas.
One of these guys was on some national show a few years ago and said he made $50,000-$60,000 in the year that he was ranked in the top 5 in the world for, I think, Guitar Hero. And I'm like, that's a pretty good haul for a 19-year-old kid that is playing a video game. There's people out there with degrees behind their names that are not making that kind of money in a year.
Well, congratulations, Bo, to one 39-year-old Jason Duvall, Massachusetts resident, who has the most creative way of paying his bail I've ever heard of in my life. Mr. Duvall was in trouble, got busted for illegal possession of a controlled substance, and he agreed to pay $450 in court costs to have the charges dismissed. Well, the problem was he never showed up to pay. So he was apprehended and brought in front of a judge. And he explained to the judge, hey, you know, I would have liked to pay this. I don't have any money. I can't go to jail because I'll lose my job. You know, help me out here. And the judge said, quote, I'll give you a chance to be creative. If you can come up with a creative idea to convince me that you'll come back, I'll work with you. So Mr. Duvall's creative solution? The Nikes. The Nikes he got for Christmas. Said the judge, okay, we'll take them. These weren't even Jordans, Bo. These are $85 Nikes, and they kept a man out of jail.
That's hilarious.
It is creative. You got to give the guy some props for that.
Yeah. It's very interesting, the times that we live in. I didn't even know that, like, golly, it shows how long it's been since I've had a friend of mine get arrested and get, you know, drugged through the ringer. Because so now the courts hold you hostage. He has to pay the courts for having drugs. Right. So that's how that works.
Court costs.
Oh, court costs. And then everything will go away. They'll sweep it under the rug.
They're probably going to keep the laces, though.
Is he a minor? Is that what it is?
No, he's 39 years old.
Oh, my. I'm moving to this town.
I guess so.
I am, me and my buddies, where is this in Massachusetts? We're Skyping the show from here on out because this is where I'm going. Golly, they should stop putting stories like this out in the internet. There's probably like 5 drug cartel that are going to go open up shop in this town. Hey, they're letting guys post bail with their Nikes. Yeah. Wait till they see these gold-plated cowboy boots I got.
They'll be combination Coke slanging bodegas / footlockers set up in the same building.
They'll be like, hey, Jorge doesn't have bail, but he has these 2 Glock 9s that he dipped in 14 karat gold. What are you give him for that? Come on.
Coming up on the show, there was some very questionable officiating during the Cowboys game. Was it fixed? We'll get into that. Plus, an NFL franchise might have its sights set on L.A., and Aaron Rodgers is awfully bad at telling jokes. It's all coming up on the Sean and Bo Show. Hey, it's Sean. Thank you very much for listening to the Sean and Bo Show. If you could do us a big favor, we need you to subscribe to us on iTunes. Even if you go to seanandboshow.podomatic.com to listen to our new episodes, or perhaps catch up on episodes you've missed, it would help us out greatly if you subscribed on iTunes, rated the show, and commented on it. It's really integral in helping us spread the show to a new audience. So again, please subscribe, search on iTunes for the Sean and Bo Show.
Welcome back to the Sean and Bo Show. And if you're just tuning in, you missed us talking about John Bones Jones and everything else that was exciting that we saw over Twitter over the weekend. But
no, I got to interrupt you, Bo. I heard a really funny joke. You want to hear a joke?
Oh yeah.
Headline: Jameis Winston is seriously considering staying in school.
Oh, God.
That's some funny stuff. Yeah, an article came out today that says, this is from Rand Getlin, who said, multiple sources with insight on Jameis Winston's process indicate that the QB is seriously considering staying in school for another year. Are they serving crab legs in the cafeteria every day?
I'm still. You were joking, right?
No,
that's really a statement issued by Florida State and Jameis Winston. Wow.
Well, his dad says that the decision is going to come down after Monday's national championship game. But yeah, the source went on to say that's not to say Winston will in fact stay in school, but it's fascinating he's even entertaining the notion.
These people that toy around with this decision, I wonder if they think we're dumb. Unless he comes from money, which he's not Mr. Johnny Football, and even though Johnny Football came out of money, he still went early. You need to capitalize on this opportunity. Any investment banker or somebody studying to be a Wall Street exec will sit down and look at you and say this: how much money are you worth now? I have $5 in a checking account with Bank of America. How much money are your parents worth? Well, they're retired and they own a house that's worth about $170,000. And how much is the NFL going to pay you if you get drafted in the first round? About $7-8 million. Go to the draft, son. It is a no-brainer. The fact that they entertain this makes me and everybody else in the media and people sitting at home that enjoy football every year so sick and tired of this conversation. Comical stuff.
Yeah, I mean, come on. The guy, his knock is his off-the-field issues. But from all indications, like Chucky and everybody else that has spent some time with him, he's got what it takes to be a starting NFL quarterback. So if he's got this uncashed lottery ticket and his only issues are off the field issues, why the hell would he subject himself to possibly another year of off the field issues? That's just going to drive that price down even further.
And I don't know about his academic standing with Florida State.
Oh, I'm sure he does great.
But here's the thing. You're going to have enough money to get any degree you want. Go play a 12, 15-year NFL career. Guess what? Florida State's still going to be open. You can go back anytime. Vince Carter did it. There's been a lot of other athletes do it. Go cash in, Jameis.
Well, as I mentioned, the owner of one NFL franchise might be inching even closer to relocating in Los Angeles. That is the owner of the St. Louis Rams, who plans to build an NFL stadium in Inglewood. Okay, well, that might not exactly be the center of the football world, but apparently he's serious about these plans. He's brought together this big investment group. They say that they're not going to be spending any taxpayer money on the stadium or on the land or anything like that. They plan to build this 80,000-seat NFL stadium and 6,000-seat performance venue, I guess somewhere next to the Staples Center, somewhere in that vicinity there. So,
yeah, the owner of the Rams, I believe it's pronounced Stan Kroenke.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, He definitely he had a celebrity saying something about him, which he's going to have to get used to if he falls through with this stadium. Snoop comes out and says he's excited about the idea. Obviously, we know Snoop is a big football fan, but that's the difference between talking about football in LA versus continuing to stay in St. Louis. You're going to get star power. I know that the model that they built for the stadium that they're showing online, and I was looking at,
Looks pretty.
it's going to have living quarters, office suites. It's basically going to become its own city, and I think that that would be the start of something new. It would automatically make Jerry Jones new stadium, Lucas Oil in Indianapolis. A lot of those stadiums would be obsolete. They would still be of the old school where they are just strictly for football and entertainment, concerts, truck shows, whatever you name it. But if you put office suites and a place for people to live, oh my gosh, I could see guys that worked in a boardroom to guys that worked for the public schools saving and putting their money away to say, honey, I finally did it. We have enough money in the savings. If we sell the house right now, we can live at the football stadium. We get season tickets. We're going to be there for all the preseason games. Like, oh my man, Sean, when I was reading that, it made me as a football fan feel that you can finally devote your life to this game that we call football 24/7.
By the way, this guy looks like a Bond villain, and on top of that, he's got about as much money as one.
It's Mr. Burns.
He's married to Ann Walton, who was associated with the Walmart co-founder Bud Walton, I guess daughter of the co-founder of Walmart, and he also owns the NBA's Denver Nuggets, the NHL's Colorado Avalanche, and is the largest shareholder of the Premier League soccer club Arsenal.
Do you remember earlier this year when we were talking about this on the show, I did some background on him. Did you remember how he made his money through Walmart with his wife? He was a contractor. So whenever he married her, he's like, what's your dad do again? Oh yeah, he owns Walmart. Can I get a contract to build all those? He built all the super centers for like 12 years. So the dude's balling. But I look at him and I say, he seems progressive. He seems like the type of guy that enjoys the, kind of the notoriety that's coming with talking about building a stadium in LA. You have to believe that Ferguson and the little spat that they had with the St. Louis Police Department, those kinds of things are going to come into play when he has the final discussion with the city of St. Louis, because I don't know if you know this, at the end of the year, they sit down and it goes to a month-to-month lease with the dome that they play in now in St. Louis.
Because it's taxpayer funded, right?
Yeah, taxpayer funded. And then after that, it's basically up to them. They're not going to get into a bidding war. The mayor's already said he's not going to get in a bidding war. He'll lose that with LA. They're not going to be able to pony up that kind of cash. So with Ferguson, the spat with the St. Louis PD, I don't think there is a chance that St. Louis has an NFL franchise moving forward.
Well, yeah, not everybody's exactly for this idea. Jason Cole reported that, quote, was told Monday that Chargers owner Dean Spanos will try to block the Rams from going to LA and believes he has 9 votes of the NFL owners, I would presume. We shall see. So if the NFL owners aren't going to allow this to happen, it doesn't matter how nice of a stadium he intends to build.
Well, see, that's the biggest issue there too, because that's how these the lawsuits and within the league and the owners, that kind of stuff shakes out, because he will go from being a middle of the road franchise to being the premier NFL franchise with one movement of a team. Because when they left LA, they couldn't steal the show from USC, UCLA, right?
Yep.
Guess what? You come back in, you're the biggest show in town automatically. You don't have to compete, because it's not the Rams people are coming to see. They're coming to see the Steelers, the Cowboys, the Packers, and that's the beauty of the NFL.
And it would make sense for a market like LA that has so many transplants in it anyway. They're not going to care about the home team as much as they are seeing their home team.
Yeah. I wonder why the NFL owners would be so quick to block that.
Well, I could see from the San Diego Chargers owner's perspective, he doesn't want to see a brand new blinged out stadium in LA because that's going to affect his ticket sales, I would presume.
That's true, and he still has issues. It makes sense.
Well, Aaron Rodgers, he's awfully good at playing quarterback, but apparently not so good at telling jokes. There's a pretty interesting article in the Wall Street Journal about, well, what some of Aaron Rodgers' teammates think of his practical joking and joke telling. A lot of them are scratching their head. Scenes like the following are common, according to this article. Last week in a team meeting, Rodgers displayed a photo, randomly, of the figure in American history and asked rookie center Corey Linsley to identify him. There was no apparent purpose to this, but Linsley correctly identified John F. Kennedy, to which Rodgers asked him, well, what's his middle name? I don't know, Frederick? Half the room giggled, half was confused, and that is apparently a typical Aaron Rodgers, in air quotes, joke.
Oh, my goodness.
But that's not where the Aaron Rodgers comedy hour stops. No, apparently Aaron is very, very fond of habitually quoting The Princess Bride.
Great movie.
What a manly movie.
I love that movie.
And like he's always doing stuff like he loves photo backing his offensive linemen when they're doing pictures on the sidelines. He also awards something called a Man of the Week award, which is basically Aaron Rodgers scouring the internet for any embarrassing photos he can find of a teammate. According to Andrew Corliss, quote, he spends a lot of time on the internet trying to find something, anything.
Oh, man. So now not only do we have the story to back it up, but we do have the vision of him rocking that mustache and sitting in a chair, scouring the internet.
Yeah.
And all the money and all the sponsorship that is State Farm and, Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. We now know this guy's a cornball. He really is a cornball.
Kind of knew that just from looking at him.
Well, I thought for a while I gave him the benefit of the doubt because, you do get stuck doing the cheesy, was it the discount double check thing, and then he got stuck with this pitiful chance to resurrect the SNL skit that was "I'm gonna pump you up."
Hans and Franz.
That was the worst skit. I don't know about you, but I spent a lot of my time watching In Living Color during those days. Saturday Night Live, after certain characters started to leave, it was just horrible. And today, it continues to get even worse.
You were watching for the skits, right? Not the Fly Girls.
Oh, yeah, the skits. The Fly Girls were pretty weak. At that,
Jennifer Lopez was pretty weak?
No, I'll be honest with you. At that time, it just shows you how much we've progressed as a society. They wore way too much clothing.
Yeah.
Like, think about it. You can see girls wearing less than that at Hooters nowadays.
It was about dancing, Bo. It wasn't about showing off cleavage.
Oh, yeah. I was confused. I'm sorry.
Have some respect for the sport of dance, for crying out loud.
Flash dance. Isn't that the movie? Isn't that the Great Dancing movie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, there we go.
Well, Bo, it would come up. It's time to answer for your Cowboys. A couple of awfully questionable calls during the Cowboys game, the first of which was a pass interference flag that was mysteriously picked up even after it was announced to the crowd, and another blatant hold on Sue. Both penalties, the NFL head of officiating said were not called properly.
Yeah.
What have you to say for yourself?
I've been wanting to get over here and let everybody out there in Sean and Bo Show Nation understand that being a Cowboys fan, you're wearing this badge, and I didn't ask. I just want to watch football and be a fan of a team. But when you're a fan of America's team, Sean, every little thing is under that microscope, and that scrutiny is going to follow it. If we'd have lost the game, nobody would care. But because we won the game, everybody cares about it. And the reason the fix looks like it was in.
I'm pretty sure people cared right when it happened, before the game was over.
This is where the fix was in. It was when the man shanked the punt. It was a 5-yard punt after that. Mm-hmm. When that happened, even I'm like, oh, somebody in Vegas is getting paid. It's almost like they all had pagers in their uniform. And at that moment, he hit the page button and everybody had to make a play. The ref was involved. The punter was involved. Jerry Jones and Chris Christie were involved. It was a mess. And it was embarrassing because I don't know. This is at the beginning of the game, this was said, and I thought this was going to affect my team, but it ended up helping us. The head referee had never worked with that crew.
Yeah,
before.
that's a stupid thing that they do, by the way.
That's dumb.
It should be the best crews of officials, not just the best individual officials.
Exactly.
They've never worked with each other. They have no rapport. They have no relationship. They don't know who's going to make a certain call. They don't know who they can defer to, etc.
Now, the thing that I kept looking at, and I've looked at this play 1,000 times since it happened, Matthew Stafford's throw did not do him any justice. And we tell kids that when you coach quarterbacks, your throw has a lot to do with what that referee is going to interpret could have happened. If you make some horrible throw out of bounds down the sideline that's 50 feet above anybody's head, he's never going to think we had a chance at that. But if you lay that ball out there where his hands can hit it, in which Matthew Stafford, I was looking at it over and over again.
But that wasn't the call. The call wasn't that it was uncatchable.
I know, but I'm saying he was face guarding him, that's a tough one too, because I've heard people say this both ways with the whole face guarding.
Is face guarding a euphemism for trucking somebody and running them over before the ball gets there?
I know. That's what I'm saying is because I've seen intentional grounding calls where quarterbacks have thrown at running backs running down the middle and the linebackers are hugged up on them like that. And they've thrown it behind them where it's hit their feet. But if you throw it above and it looks like you're trying to lead the guy, pass interference every time. And I just wonder if, I hear people say this all the time. Oh, is the problem Caldwell? Is it Schwartz? Or is it just Matthew Stafford? Because that's the one thing that hasn't changed in all this. And you look at those little situations and you're like, Tony Romo, Tom Brady, these older guys, they would have put that ball where it would have been catchable. And they probably would have got the penalty. But Stafford, he threw that ball is horrible, the pass, that I think the ref had nothing to do but turn around and say, just wave it off. He had no trust in the referees and the crew, and he also had no trust in Matthew Stafford in the throw that he made.
Well, speaking of Matthew Stafford, he was actually mic'd up for that game, the audio of which will play tonight on Showtime's Inside the NFL, but they released a little snippet after they picked that flag up. He said to one of the officials, "Can we explain that or no?" Just flat out overturning a pass interference call. And then later, following the lack of a holding call on against Sue, Stafford was heard yelling, "Home cooking."
Yeah. Yep.
But I was joking around about this on Facebook. I said, I'm not saying that this game was fixed. Oh, wait, that's exactly what I'm saying. But in all seriousness, look, I think the NFL, if they had their choice, would have liked Dallas to have won that game. Bigger national fan base. Just makes sense. But if you're asking me if the NFL fixed that game, I would say no, because they aren't competent enough to fix a game.
No.
We saw they handled the Ray Rice investigation. Do you really think that this is a league that could, handle a mass conspiracy during the playoffs? I don't think so.
Yeah, and as a coach, I go back and look at this game because you always want to keep the referees out of it when you're talking to your players, because if they get caught up on that, they forget about their performance. And Detroit, as a fan of the Dallas Cowboys and a man that just flat out watches a whole lot of football, golly, you had so many opportunities to make me cry that night. I mean, how many times were I standing up on the edge of my couch, like, are we really in a fourth down situation? Are they really in field goal range? Did we really just turn the ball over? Like, you had so many opportunities, just like Dallas had so many opportunities. The only difference is we ended up capitalizing on 2 4th and shorts. You didn't.
Yeah, and the bottom line is you're not going to win football games when your offense only scores 3 points during an entire half.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
That's a big issue with Detroit, especially having Megatron. And it was like, watching that game, I can't believe I forgot about Megatron. You would just forget about him and then be like a 3rd down long and they'd hit him. And you're like, oh, gosh, that guy's out there.
Yeah.
That's not a good thing if you're Detroit.
Well, coming up on the show, we're going to preview the rest of the divisional playoffs, also the college football championship. Where is Sue going to end up anyway? And what team will be on Hard Knocks this year? Plus, Bigfoot talk. It's all coming up on the Sean and Bo Show.
Hey, loyal listeners, this is Bo of the Sean and Bo Show, and I just want to remind you, follow us on Twitter at Sean and Bo Show, and make sure you send us some emails. We definitely want to get contact for you and feedback just to know what you're feeling or see what's going on out there in the sports world. Again, that is at seanandboshow@gmail.com, and follow us again on Twitter at Sean and Bo Show.
Hey, folks, welcome back. It's the Sean and Bo Show. And, football is going to be gone before we know it, Bo. It's a sad time of the year. I was just lamenting last night on Monday night that every Monday from here on out, with the exception of next Monday, because we have the college championship, is going to be so boring for an entire year. But one of the shows that I enjoy watching in the summer months leading up to football, Hard Knocks.
Yes, that is a great show.
And I was wondering what team is it going to be. It usually gets announced just after the season's over. And there's like a formula about who is eligible, because while you can always volunteer to be on Hard Knocks, the league can compel a team to be on the program. So if you have a new coach, if you've made the playoffs the last 2 seasons, and if you haven't been on the show for 10 years, those are the criteria. So somebody, I guess this is Richard Deitch of Sports Illustrated, surmised the list of teams that are eligible. So I wonder which of these it's going to be. The teams in question: Washington, the Giants, Vikings, Bucks, Rams, Browns, and Texans, Jags, and Titans.
Is that hasn't been in the playoffs for 2 years or has been in the playoffs?
What does this say? Teams exempt from the duty include teams with first-year coaches, teams that have made the playoffs the last 2 seasons, and teams that have been on the show in the last 10 years.
I've always wondered how Belichick and the Patriots stay off there, because
God, I'd love to see that.
Yeah, that's the place you want to get cameras in.
You would have no words coming out of Belichick's mouth. It would just be a series of grunts.
There's a rumor today that he cracked a joke at a presser.
They say that he's really funny behind the scenes, like with his players.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things, I have to ask myself, do we really want to see what's going on behind the scenes at the Patriots? Because you may be disappointed if you're a fan of any of the other teams. You might just find out that this guy is really laid back, easy-going, and he just demands excellence, and he gets it.
Now, this is what I foresee happening, okay? Of those teams, I think the Browns are probably the team that the NFL wants, because you have Johnny Football. But what if they select the Browns and then they trade Johnny Manziel? Ooh, that is not must-see TV.
Couldn't even name the names of the guys that would be on Hard Knocks. I would like to see the Vikings, though. Teddy Bridgewater, that's kind of interesting to me, coming into his second year. I think it would be kind of nice to see a team that necessarily isn't in a major media market like Atlanta or New York. So Vikings would be at the top of my list.
Yeah. Well, also this time of the year, we get the AP All-Pro team. We get Rookie of the Year nominations. Nothing too surprising, the AP All-Pro team, but I did see this, and I thought it was interesting. Rob Gronkowski, the Gronk, received all 50 votes for the AP All-Pro team. Not a single other tight end received a single vote.
That's funny. Poor Jason Witten. He's having a heck of a year.
And you know what I have to wonder is, what's the line on Rookie of the Year? They have like 4 or 5 candidates that could be Rookie of the Year. I want to find out the line and bet my car and everything I own, because is there any possible way that Odell Beckham Jr. doesn't win Rookie of the Year?
Yeah. And
what, are you going to give it to Sammy Watkins? I don't think so.
Something else I wanted to say, since we are talking about the All-Pro team, if you listen to the show, or you haven't, this is your first time, I played college football in the Mountain West for the University of New Mexico. Time and time again, we hear the debate, who's the best college football conference, where does the best quality of player come from? But when I watch these lists that come out, or I watch, the coaches talk about what pros they respect, I was glad to see a friend of mine and a teammate, Glover Quinn, of the Detroit Lions, make the All-Pro team. Is a guy we used to hang out on Sundays. We would actually watch Cowboys games together and spend a lot of time, because we were both had families at the time when we were playing college football. And to see him make that and pick up the torch for where Mr. Brian Urlacher left off, keeping the Mountain West and keeping the University of New Mexico relevant. Hats off to you, Glover Quinn. Keep representing out there for us, buddy.
Now, Sue is going to be, well, I guess technically a free agent, right? Any team can sign him. And while the Lions have said that it's a priority for their organization to keep him around, you had some questions about whether Sue is going to be a distraction or an asset to teams moving forward and whether or not teams would really want him.
Yeah, that's the biggest question in the NFL right now. You have players like a Des Bryant. Then you have a guy like a J.J. Watt. Both of them you cannot spend a day in the NFL without them on your roster if you've ever had them. You would not know how to move forward and play football without either one of those individuals I named. The only difference is one of the guys is sending pizzas to the Houston Fire Department, and the other guy, you're still kind of wondering why the Dallas Police Department is receiving 911 calls to his house during the season. You say to yourself, Ndamukong Suh does little things they're kind of childish at nature, but you have to also
like stomping on somebody's leg.
They're very childish.
I see the kids doing that all the time.
They do. Actually, the kids I work with, they do things like that, and that's what you teach them on the playground: not to stomp first, but to kind of talk, communicate, use your words. When a lot of guys use
Timmy,
trash talk,
Timmy, if you're gonna do that, go for the ankle. Hello.
If you're gonna do it right, Timmy. But I wouldn't want the distraction. When the Seattle Seahawks are winning Super Bowls with a bunch of guys whose names we do not know because all they do is clog up holes and make tackles, why do you need an Ndamukong Suh? I'm even starting to question, why do you need a Jadeveon Clowney? Why do you need a J.J. Watt? Dallas Cowboys have some guys playing on their defense that I would not know if I ran into in a Buffalo Wild Wings tomorrow.
You're insane. I think any NFL team out there would welcome Sue with open arms.
But see, here's what drives my point home. According to Yahoo Sports, I don't know how reliable they are, but these are the list of teams that have already contacted or been mentioned as being at the top of the list. And tell me if my point, this will make my point for me, Sean. Jags.
Okay.
Raiders.
Yeah.
Browns.
All right.
Jets.
Sure.
All organizations that, yes, could use Sue's services, but are not bringing in championship quality people. And the difference between championship quality people is you don't know their names. The guys that play offensive line, defensive line, you don't know their names because they come in and they do their job. The only reason I know Tamba Ali's name is because he handles his business. That guy is a superstar at his position. J.J. Watt, I know his name because he handles his business. And Ndamukong Suh, he's an ankle stomper. And yes, he is a big threat in the middle, but when's the last time I've turned on SportsCenter and they're like, Ndamukong Suh, 6 sacks today. Ndamukong Suh, 3 sacks. He doesn't handle it like that.
No, that's true. But, I mean, that said, he's just such a monster in the middle. Like, he's going to stop.
What's your guy's name that just got Derek Thomas's record? Houston.
Yeah.
That's a guy that I'd want on my squad right there.
Well, I can see the Raiders picking him up if they could get him.
Exactly.
They would celebrate that kind of behavior. There'd be fans in the black hole stomping on each other's legs, eating Subway.
Let's do a Sue, baby.
Yeah. Well, the college football championship is now upon us. We know the teams. And really no surprise to me that Ohio State game definitely was a surprise, but the spread, the hoopla, all this stuff I kind of saw coming. Like it's just such a big deal, and I think it's going to be no surprise to any of us when this thing gets blown up even more, when we get 8 teams, and then we have an entire month of the college playoffs. And the number one indication that's going to be a reality are the ratings. Bo, on Thursday, 28.2 million viewers watched Oregon blow out Florida. Later that night, 28.3 million tuned in to see Ohio State upset Alabama. Those are the 2 highest rated broadcasts in cable TV history.
Wow.
So that alone shows you that the money's there and this thing's just going to continue to grow. Of course, Monday night we have the championship game, and I'm going to tell you right now, it's free money. Free money, people. Take Oregon. Free money.
Looking at the head-to-head matchup, they both played Michigan State. You can really see the difference between the two teams. Something that Oregon gets time and time again is they're not physical. They run the spread. They're fast. People say, oh, this team, they can't hit you. They can't stop you. Well, people, Michigan State is as physical as they get. They're going to run the ball. They're going to hit you in the middle. And when they played each other, the game was really close. Oregon, Ohio State, Michigan State, 49-37. Turn it around. Oregon plays Michigan State 46-27. That defense is the difference. It's going to be the difference between Ohio State, Sean.
Yeah, and if you look at the stats, if you look at like the yards per game allowed, the average score, they're very similar teams.
Yeah.
But I mean, I just don't see any way Oregon is not going to win this game going away.
Well, they showed it against Florida State. What I sit here on the show and say, all the big boys from Florida State, they're going to hit them like they've never been hit this year. I was wrong about that. I apologize to all defensive linemen and middle and outside linebackers for Oregon. You guys deserve to check me in the face one time. That was one of the most physical games that I've watched from a defense. That defensive linemen were flying around sideline to sideline, and you could not get an inch if you're Florida State. The only difference is Ohio State is kind of like Oregon in the fact that they're going to use receivers coming in motion. They're going to use a lot of read option type handoffs to try and slow down that attack.
But
here's the difference.
Ohio State, big-bodied team.
Yeah, well, see, here's the difference. Here's the big difference. The turnover. And that's where I think this game, just like I didn't believe, whenever Ohio State makes that one little mistake, like Florida State did, and Oregon gets up on you by that one little score.
That's all it takes.
It turns into 21
Boat
points,
race.
then 32 points.
And that's what I see happening. Ohio State, big bodies. It's going to be close the first half. Mm-hmm. That late third quarter, fourth quarter, you're going to see big men up front be awfully gassed.
Yeah.
And that's when Oregon's going to just blow it up.
Yeah, and the skill players of Oregon, too, are not going to allow those passes that they got away with against Alabama to slide in there. Alabama position coached by Nick Saban. Nobody ever talks about it because it is the position that he coaches, which is the defensive backs. If you look at their losses this year, Ole Miss and Ohio State, where did they suffer? Deep passes. I'm not going to say anything, Coach. You are the man in charge. I'm pretty sure nobody else on your staff's going to say anything. But I know Nick Saban, he is going back to look at his coaching regimen or how he's able to get to those guys. There may even be a guy coming into Alabama next year to help coach defensive backs because, I'm sorry, those catches that the receiver from Ole Miss, whose name I'd mess up if I tried to drop it right now, and that you've seen the Ohio State receivers making, they should have been balls that were knocked down, but they just got up over your defensive backs and grabbed it. That's coaching.
Well, the players still aren't getting paid, but one little new wrinkle during this college football championship, the road to this championship, I should say, is that parents are now receiving travel stipends, Bo.
Yeah, Urban Meyer was on the phone a lot this week complaining to the NCAA, just urging them to increase the amount. I believe before it was at like $800. They raised it to $1,200, which is going to go a long way, but I'm here to let you know they're still far behind. One of the groups that takes care of letting the universities know how much money they're going to spend whenever they make trips to the Final Four, which is now the college football playoff. The average cost for a family is $3,000 to $4,000 now to go to these games because you're not just going to a Rose Bowl, you're not just going to the All-State Sugar Bowl, you now have to pack up and fly to Dallas afterwards. Sure. So airfare is not cheap. This is a problem in our country. I had this conversation with my mother when we were watching the games when they were out for the holidays. Still to this day in America, we see a lot of progress around us. But one thing that I want to see change, being an athlete, being a kid that was on the field at a bowl game, when we traveled to San Francisco and played in the Emerald Bowl against Navy, a lot of the African Americans on the team, families were not able to afford the flight to California, especially 2 days after Christmas. It just was not possible. While we see African Americans coaching, playing these games on the field, we are still not able to put our family in the vehicle or put them on a plane and fly to these destinations to enjoy the games. And I wish the universities would take it up on themselves. because we all know that they just signed a $500 million TV deal related to the college football playoff to make sure these families can get there to see their kids play a game that's probably going to be a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, because we know a majority of these kids are going to go on to be professionals in other areas besides NFL.
Absolutely. Yeah, totally agreed. Well, before we get to the important part of the show, which is, of course, Bigfoot, I guess we should probably take a look at the divisional round of the NFL playoffs. Bo, I was perfect in my wild card picks, 4-0. I'm proud of that. I'm going to go ahead and pat myself on the back a bit. And this is the time of the year, people. If you want to make a little extra money, maybe for that gym membership you signed up for, so you can lose that 20 pounds you promised the wife for your New Year's resolution, Uncle Sean might have a little something good for you. Okay, so let's take a look at these games. On Saturday, Bo, we have Baltimore at New England. And by the way, I didn't even look up the spreads to these games. Probably should have, but first game, I'm going to take the Patriots.
Yeah, I'm taking Patriots too.
Yeah, I just think that Baltimore offense isn't good enough to be able to match points with the Patriots.
They beat a Steelers team without Le'Veon Bell that, in a fashion that didn't convince me they could have beat them with Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
That being said, New England, way better team. Way better.
Let me just look. Let's see if Vegas agrees with us here. Yeah, current spread, New England by 7. That would make me a little nervous, but I might even still consider taking that spread. Second game on Saturday, Carolina at Seattle. Bo, you think this is going to be a slugfest?
This is the one we disagreed on. And, if you're listening to any of the, NFL channel, ESPN, they're hyping this game up as a slugfest based on what happened earlier this year.
Don't believe the hype.
When they played, it was a 13-9 ball game. This is what's going on.
Where was that game played?
That one was in Carolina.
Oh, okay.
Now they got to go into the Hawks' nest.
Yeah.
It's a whole different story. I understand. But this is where this game's different. Ron Rivera and this single game plan that he's able to do, he's done it now, 5 or 6 weeks in a row. Watch out for this guy.
No, I totally disagree with you, Bo. The spread in this game is 11 points. I would take that and feel good about it. I would take a spread up to 14 points and feel good about it. I think this game is going to be a blowout. I think by the time the third quarter rolls around, it's going to be time to go get some more beer, because you're not going to care about what's happening on the field anymore. I think it's going to be ugly.
I would take Seattle in the game, but I just don't see it being a blowout.
Okay.
Cam Newton and Stuart, they're going to have another big week. So I think get your popcorn ready Saturday night. It's going to be a good game.
On to the Sunday games. Bo has his nice and early. He's going to be popping those said beers at about 11 a.m. our time as Dallas travels to Green Bay.
Yeehaw.
All right, Bo, let's hear it. Convince us.
Well, this is what I'm going to base this all on. And I try not to go too far back with NFL teams, because it truly is about what they're doing lately. And lately, all I've seen from Green Bay is a team that was hot before they lost that game to the Bills. And when I look back at even the Atlanta game, which was a week before that, they allowed a guy who has done nothing. I'm talking about nothing all year to have a 100-yard performance in Steven Jackson, running back of the Atlanta Falcons. DeMarco Murray, Zach Martin at offensive line, that's a whole new ball game. Our wide receiver core, Jason Witten's getting hot. This game here, Sean, you want to talk about games that are going to be over by the third quarter? This was the game that I had pegged.
Oh, you are out of your damn
I'm
mind.
going to take Dallas. What's the spread on this one? What's the points?
You want to guess?
They'll probably have Green Bay by 3.
Green Bay by 6.
That's bull. That is
okay.
What are they smoking in Vegas?
I'm going to give you. I wouldn't take the spread, but I am awfully confident the Packers are going to come away with this victory. It's going to be a tight game, but they're not going to be picking those flags up at Lambeau Field.
Just passing. They're going to.
No. Jerry Jones already spent his bribing the refs money in the playoff.
But I look at this game as an honest preview of this game. Take Aaron Rodgers away. Take away Jordy Nelson. Give them 2 touchdowns. They're going to need more than that to beat us on Sunday. How do they beat us?
Well, they've got a great run defense. You're going to see those long locks of blonde hair as DeMarco Murray goes flying.
Nah. I'm excited. This is one of those old school matchups that makes the conspiracy of what we now call just simply the call or the no call. It makes it a conspiracy because had this been Detroit, Green Bay, yes, there is an old school rivalry there, but we've seen it. It's played out. But, man, Dallas, Green Bay, Ice Bowl, this is classic.
Yeah, it's classic, and the Packers are going to win. By the way, I saw this on Facebook earlier. Bo, have you gotten your Dallas Cowboy playoff jersey yet?
Uh-uh.
Well, it happens to be zebra in color, but
Nice.
I've been told they're available.
There we go.
Final game of Sunday, Indy at Denver. Now, Bo, I told our listeners earlier on another episode that I think Denver would probably lose their first playoff game. Not this one, buddy.
It happened. They got the matchup that they needed.
Yeah, this is the perfect matchup for them. We know that the blueprint for beating Peyton is pressure. Well, guess what Indy doesn't have? A pass rush.
Zero.
They have no run game to speak of. This one's going to be ugly. So I'll take Denver, but I also take Denver to lose next round.
This will be ugly in a shootout kind of way. This will be one of those games where even though there's 3 interceptions by Andrew Luck and Denver maybe coughs the ball up or has to kick field goals instead of getting touchdowns, you always feel like Luck can win the game. So they'll make this compelling TV for Sunday Night Football on NBC. Is this an NBC or CBS game? CBS.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Well, get ready for what will be an ugly game, but Denver does win that.
So wait, by the way, are no more Gruden for the rest of the year? They're not going to give him another game?
That's a shame.
That is a shame. No more Spider Y Banana until next season.
What's he doing right now? Is he riding around
He's at a Hooters.
in a
Drinking a Corona.
In a what is that? A big old the bus that he has that. What is that actual bus? The draft bus? Is that what it is? There's like a name for it. Is he riding around in that bus? Is showing up on college campuses like, hey, Marcus Mariota, come in here. Let's watch some film, buddy.
Who are you?
I got psych class in like 30 minutes, man. Can I get? No, this is way more important. Get in here.
Speaking of way more important, you know that the motto of this show is sports, entertainment, Bigfoot. So without further ado, Squatch beer. Time to talk some Bigfoot. Bo, this week we got Bigfoot sightings in multiple states. We got what do they call them? The skunk ape.
Yeah, good old skunk ape of the South.
Fisherman says that he saw Bigfoot while he was out gar fishing, and I can only assume it went something like this. Yeah, man, I saw that Bigfoot. I could smell him before I seen him, but I still seen him. I took a picture too. Bo, I bring this story up not because it's one of the plausible Bigfoot stories that we've discussed, but this thing is the worst hoax I've ever seen in my life, and we'll tweet out the picture. Go to @Sean and Bo Show to check it out. This thing looks like a combination of a Furby and one of those animatronic robots that you grew up hating at Chuck E. Cheese. This thing is ridiculous.
Yeah. Times must be good in the country these days because when I was raised in the country, people were working, not in their garage or their wood shop, putting together some horse hairs and gluing them to some dummy or mannequin.
We could have done better than this. But
golly, this is horrible. That thing. When you showed me the picture, I thought you were just joking. I thought it was something you pulled off of Google and you're just showing it to me. No, this guy actually sent this into the Huffington Post, right? Mm-hmm. And tried to pass it off as I was just fishing. And I caught the old skunk ape taking a bath. Like, what's he doing out there? You know, is that what Bigfoot does nowadays? He hangs out in chest high water, just watching the sun come up. Come on.
Lead investigator of the Sci-Fi Channel's Fact or Faked Paranormal Files, who was a former FBI agent himself, spoke to HuffPo. He said, quote, "It's a relief to finally have a clear picture of the creature. Every other photo and video we get is usually too blurry or the Bigfoot too obscured in brush to allow for any useful identification. Thanks to the clear photo, I'm excited to announce that the photographers captured a real-life gorilla in a Bigfoot suit." And that's exactly what it looks like. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
But that wasn't the only Bigfoot story of the week, Bo. You saw something out of a neighboring state.
Yeah, this one was close to us. I was all excited. I had loaded up the Winnebago. I was going to go over there and assert myself on the highway where the Arizona Highway Department camera picked up what looks to be, in light of some snowfall, a family of Sasquatch crossing the highway.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's quite a large family.
Huge family. So just be out in broad daylight crossing a highway in Arizona. But if you look at it, it's nothing. I think it looks like maybe a couple cactus, or even if it's northern Arizona, some pines that are growing on the side of the road.
Yeah, it looks like tree stumps or shrubs along the side of a highway.
But this is what I wanted to get at with this. And, we can even loop your guy into this. For the individuals out there that think they're going to take a shot at us, ladies and gentlemen, that believe in Bigfoot, we know he's out there. You're never going to win. You're never going to derail us. You're not going to get us off the bigger picture. And that's proving to you that this beast is among us, and he's lived among us for years. Stop trying to make fun of us, Arizona Highway Department. Stop spending your mornings catching gar, is that what he's going after?
Yeah.
And throwing ape suits into the river and taking shots at it and wasting people's time at the Huffington Post. Because there are individuals out there like Sean and myself that really care about this hairy creature.
That's right.
We want to see Bigfoot where he belongs, and that's next to us in this studio. So, happy hunting.
Unless, of course, Bigfoot meat tastes really good slow cooked.
Oh, gosh. Could you imagine? They say that we're actually the best tasting mammal on earth, but I'm just not brave enough to eat myself. So
You don't need 2 arms. Come on.
just one.
That's right, Bo. This is serious business. And I, for one, don't appreciate the Arizona Highway Department having a giggle at our expense. It's not right. It's not fair. You're the government. Do your damn job. Find this creature.
Exactly.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the Sean and Bo Show. So we have a college football championship to look forward to, and, of course, divisional playoffs. So we'll have lots to talk about.
Next week when we're doing this show, I will be on my way to the NFC Championship.
Really?
Isn't that a great thought?
Oh, I thought you meant like you're actually going to go.
No.
Okay.
I'm just going to watch.
I'll send Jim Irsay some pills. You might get lucky. Until next week, I'm Sean O'Donnell along with my co-host, Bo Greer, reminding you, tip your pizza man.
See you next week.